Christmas Eve, let's check on my Honda. Now, before I show you anything, I did a lot of work. It wasn't recording anything. I didn't have my camera. But I got some pictures, and I'll go through it and explain some stuff and what you need to do if this happens to you. My engine and transmission are out of the car. I let a guy borrow it. He overheated it, completely tore up the top end on it, so we're doing a rebuild. Now with this, I had to take it out from underneath the car. There was no going up. It had to come down. The car had to get pretty high in the air. But basically well, the way I did it, a lot of people said, no, don't pull the axles, whatever. I pulled both axles. Those are pretty easy to do. I left the knuckle and everything attached. I had to go from the top because all your pulleys hit this crossbar, this part of the car right here. Your oil filter set out here. There was no going up, so I just completely undid it and dropped it down. The motor and transmission, even though they're made of aluminum, are heavy. I had to back up my car to my cherry picker and chain my cherry picker down because it kept trying to tumble over the cherry picker. But the cherry picker picked up the car this high with no issues. There's a mount there and one down there somewhere. That's what I hooked the cherry picker up to and lifted it up after I had the engine on the ground. Then I drug the engine out from underneath the car. So I will go over some videos, and it's going to be cut together odd, so just watch the whole thing through and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So that's where we are, and tomorrow is Christmas and my parts still have not got here, so hopefully I'm getting a new camera for Christmas that's got a head mount and all that other fun stuff. I'll be able to do a lot better videos. Oh, I did leave my AC compressor attached because, one, letting the Freon out's bad. Two, I didn't want to have to go through the process of oiling it and filling it back up with Freon and blah blah, the whole ordeal. That power steering hose right there is bad. It leaks, so I have to replace that, which I'm going to do before I put the motor and everything back in, because of course you see how much room I have in here. I'm gonna get in here and clean all this up. It's pretty dirty. I had some oil leaks that I just never addressed, and man, that side of the engine, when it's up against the firewall, it is a nightmare to work on, so I just dropped it all out. And hopefully y'all will follow along and we'll get this thing running, and it's going to be an adventure, that's for sure. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Now let's go over some photos. This one right here you're looking at is where the shift cable goes into the transmission. There's a plate that this is all behind, and it's like 6 bolts to take the plate off. And you'll see this bolt right here. It holds the shift cable onto the transmission shifter. So you can take that bolt off and pull your little shift cable off, and then it's free of the transmission. This photo you're looking at is the motor mount bracket in between the firewall and the engine. And I had to completely unbolt this bracket from the engine and the other bracket that's closest to you and remove those so I could get the engine to drop down. In this photo you see the cherry picker hooked up I got a chain going to the lift mount in the front, and I got a strap going to the back so I didn't damage anything. And I took the pressure of the engine up so I could take out all the bolts and all the nuts, and then I slowly lowered it down onto the ground. This is just another view of how I have my chain system hooked up. Once everything was undone, I was able to lower the engine onto the ground, and then I hooked up the cherry picker to those two lift points in the first video, and was able to lift the car up high enough and put some blocks under it so I could pull the engine out from underneath it. And there she sits, ready to get to work and start tearing her apart. If you guys have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hopefully y'all will stay with me and follow along as this process goes on. So I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, and I will see you later.
And here's the engine sitting on a cart. Hooray! And we have the heads. The valves. The transmission. So that's where I am today.